Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Sunday, February 5th slate of NBA action. Super excited to dive into it. We do only have 6 games on the slate, but honestly, there's still some pretty good spots that I do want to go ahead and target. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Before we did, I did just want to go ahead and say that we are still currently on the road to 12,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. And thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me. So much more than you guys will ever know. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap as of yesterday. We've been really good here recently. I know that we did end up having an 0-3 day not too long ago, but outside of that, we've been red hot with our picks. So hopefully we can keep that trend going. We've seen a lot of profit this week, so hopefully we can transition that over to today as well. Finish off the week with an absolute bang, go into next week with a clean slate, and hopefully just keep things going. But without any further ado, quick recap. We did end up having we ended up having Brandon Ingram over 23.5 points. He ends up dropping 35. I saw a lot of people on his PRA line too. So he ended up hitting that pretty much with just points alone. So he ended up crushing that one. Then we had the Wizards +2 versus the Nets. This one ended up being a push for us. If you got it later in the day, the line did end up going up to 3. So if you got it later in the day, congrats on the win. But here on the channel, we only ended up pushing on that one. I doubled down once I saw that Kyrie Irving was out. And then on top of that, I saw that the line moved to 3. I did double down on it, but is what it is. Ended up getting a push on that one. Then we had our Josh Giddey same game parlay. So I talked about this as a lean yesterday, ended up making an official play throughout the day, where Josh Giddey had 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Ends up cashing this pretty early in the third quarter. Ends up hitting really no sweat whatsoever. That game was so high scoring. If he wouldn't have got it, I would have been really upset. But he ended up hitting that one for us as well. And then we had our one loss. We did end up having the Trailblazers and the Bulls under 232.5. This Portland team just keeps continuing to amaze me, man. They are a shooting team, and they can get hot at any given point. It does not matter, and they just coast. And it's like, they played all these games here recently, and it just hasn't mattered. They've still put up so many points, and they've been giving up a lot of points too here recently. But regardless, is what it is. I'll always admit when I'm wrong. This one I was way off. So we ended up losing that one, but we ended up going 2-1-1. So profit is profit at the end of the day. Ended up making our money back on the one play and then making some money on our other 3. So we ended up going 2-1-1. So without any further ado, though, let's go ahead and dive into today's picks. So for our first official play of the day, we are taking the Grizzlies -4.5 here versus Toronto at -110 odds. Now, let me give you a very simple analysis first. The Grizzlies are going to be at home. That's the easy segment. And then after that, I'll go ahead and dive into some stats. But the Grizzlies are such a good basketball team at home, and I think that this is a good spot. They're coming off of 2 games where they were pretty bad losses. This is a game that they need to win. They absolutely need to win it, and this is a great bounce-back spot for them. Memphis is 15-9-1 against the spread at home this year. Toronto is 11-16 against the spread on the road. Not necessarily a tremendous road team here for Toronto. And the Grizzlies do have the history between the two teams. They have actually won and covered in 3 out of their last 4 games. They've been very solid here versus the Toronto Raptors, and I think that does keep going. Memphis is overall a better offense, and Toronto does average the 19th most. So Memphis overall, based off the stats, is the better offense. Not to mention, Memphis, they allow the 4th fewest points per game at home this year, and Toronto allows the 13th most on the road. So not only is Memphis a better offense, they're a better defense. Memphis is first in defensive efficiency. Toronto is 20th. So what more stats do you want? I mean, they all back the Grizzlies here. Hopefully they can get this 5-point spread here done. Like I said, they're coming off of 2 losses that were pretty big. This has to be a game that they ended up taking. So I really do like this one here for our first official play of the day. Grizzlies -4.5 here versus Toronto at -110 odds. Now for our second play of the day, we're going to be going with Miles Turner under 17.5 points here versus the Cavaliers at minus 125 odds. Now, Miles Turner has gone under in 2 out of his last 3 games, but the stat that really stood out to me, he has never hit this over in his career versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Miles Turner's been in the league for quite some time. The Cavs have looked a lot different than what they do now. They're at one of the best defensive points in their entire last 5 or 6 years. And Miles Turner has never been able to hit the over on him. So I do think this is a pretty good spot here to be able to take an under. Cavs also allow the 3rd fewest points per game to opposing centers. We all know that Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are tremendous defensive pieces in the paint there, and the Cavs also allow the 2nd fewest points per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games. So not only are they locked down at that center position, but in the last 7 games they've been even better. So I really do like this one here. Cleveland allows the fewest points per game to opposing teams just in general, the best defense by the numbers in the entire NBA, and Cleveland's also dead last in pace. So you're talking about a slow-paced game against the best defense in the entire league, where they lock up at the center position. I think this is going to be a tough spot here for Mr. Miles Turner. And now that Tyrese Halliburton is also back, taking away a couple shots too, makes me like it even more. So I really do like this one here for our second official play of the day. Miles Turner under 17.5 points here versus the Cavs at minus 125 odds. Now for our third and final play of the day, we're going to be going with Paolo Banchero over 20.5 points here versus Charlotte at minus 115 odds. Now, we did fade Paolo Banchero not too long ago versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, but this is the most perfect bounce back spot here. I know if you take a look at the game logs, Paolo Banchero has not necessarily been the greatest player over the last couple games, but I think that this is a spot that you want to take as over. I mean, this matchup is perfect for him. He already did play against the Charlotte team earlier in the year. He ended up dropping 21 against them. And if you take a look at his last 3 games, despite not having a great track record to hitting this over, he's still seen 16, 18, and 22 shot attempts in his last 3 games. So it's not like he's not shooting the ball. He's definitely shooting it. It's just hasn't really been falling for him. Some of the percentages that he has seen recently have just been abysmal. But I think he does end up getting right here. Obviously, because of the altercation that was in the Minnesota Timberwolves game, there's going to be no Mo Bamba and there's going to be no Jalen Suggs in this game. 2 guys that can take away some shots. So I think maybe some of those shots do end up going to Banchero. So hopefully that's the case. And Charlotte also does allow the 3rd most points per game to opposing teams, and they're also 26th in defensive efficiency. We all know that the Charlotte Hornets are not a good defense. They give up some of the most points. They're not efficient, and I think that this is a great spot to be able to take as over. Charlotte 5th in pace as well. Should be a very fast-paced game versus this Hornets team, and realistically, I do think that the Magic end up winning this one, and if that's the case, I think Paolo Banchero is going to have a pretty big night. So I really do like this one here for our third and final play of the day. Paolo Banchero over 20.5 points here versus Charlotte at minus 115 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Let me know what you guys are betting down below, but that's going to do it for me. This is King Center signing out. Peace.